welcome back to the Tony Nares Show. My name is Tony, and thank you for joining me today. So, I want to talk about podcasting and how simplistic we can really make podcasting be, and why we don't need fancy soundboards, mixers, and heavy audio equipment to really get a quality podcast sound. So, I am currently using a dynamic microphone right in front of me. As you can see, is definitely something new that's in the picture. And on top of my camera, I'm using the Rode Video Micro. So we're getting audio sources from two different units. One is plugged directly into the camera. The other one is plugged into an audio recorder. That audio recorder I'm using is the Zoom H4n. It's about a $200 recorder. I use that for wedding videos and for other videography work that I do. And this is the Shure PGA 4.8 dynamic microphone. Now, this particular microphone is not that expensive. It's about, give or take, $40. And the version that I got came with, I think this is about a 15-foot XLR to XLR cable. Now, the XLR cable is going to plug directly into my Zoom H4n Pro because it does have two XLR inputs. But you can also plug in a 3.5 microphone into the Zoom recorder just as well. So you're not limited to just using XLR cables. You can also use shotgun microphones, boom microphones, and then you can plug in there that has a 3.5 cable adapter to it. And that's going to be a TRS cable that plugs right into there. If you have a TRRS, you can also just use an adapter to go down to TRS just as well to ensure that you are getting a connection there. Now, I will be playing audio from both sources today and switching back and forth. So you can hear the difference between using a shotgun mic like the Video Micro versus using this Shure dynamic mic and which one sounds better for you. Now, the main difference here is one is obviously on top of the camera. The other one is right here in front of me. Now, a shotgun mic like the Rode Video Micro is going to be a cardioid mic, so it's going to pick up a pattern that's directly right in front of it. The dynamic mic is also going to be just like that. It's going to pick up sounds that are right in front of the microphone too, just as well. But the one difference between a dynamic mic and a condenser style microphone is that it's going to pick up the noise patterns that's right in front of the microphone. Versus if I slide back a little bit, you start to lose audio quality in the microphone until I get a little bit closer, then you're able to hear me a little bit better. That's really good if you are trying to capture audio in a loud area and you really don't want outside sources to be picked up. Things like the Rode Video Micro will pick up anything that's in front of that microphone. You know, the further away it is, the less likely you are to get, you know, any feedback noise from the sources you're not trying to collect them from. But the dynamic mic, the Shure microphone does a really good job of making sure that we're only picking up what's right in front of it and not picking up anything else. So typically when people use these style of microphones, they are a little bit closer to the microphone to make sure their voice is heard properly. You see this a lot in live events and concerts where the person presenting is using a dynamic microphone or the person that's singing is using a dynamic microphone because they can keep it closer to them while drowning out the additional noise that's going on inside that building. And that's really good because you're getting crystal clear audio and quality. Now, podcasting, you need to make sure that you're having audio that is listenable. People will not listen to your podcast if they question the audio source, if it's a hassle to listen to, if they're not getting, you know, that nice sweet tone in their ear. And your voice has a lot to do with it too, but you can always correct that in post. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time correcting things in post. The idea here is to make a quick setup that we can carry with us everywhere we go, and pump out material. You know, quality over quantity, definitely for sure, but we want to make it easy to make quantity so that way the quality becomes better. Now, what I mean by that is we can spend a lot of money buying products to make better quality podcasts, but when you have all these gadgets and fancy toys, it's really hard to sit back and say, how do I do this? When can I do this? And you think, why am I doing this? You have all this stuff. You have soundboards, mixers, interfaces, giant recorders, multiple microphones, all these just different gadgets. And what it's really doing is crowding your judgment on making the choice to make a podcast. So if you've been inside the podcast game for a while and you have, a good amount of downloads and listeners that are tuning in weekly or daily, depending on how often you do your podcast, maybe even monthly, then yes, sure, update your equipment, but I'm going to keep it simple. So like I said, I'm only using the H4n Pro from Zoom and the Shure PGA 48 dynamic microphone. Keeping it simple, microphone straight to the recorder, and I'm going to take that, I'm going to cut it up in post, and I'm going to put it out for my podcast listeners to listen to. I am keeping it simple. I am not trying to, reinvent the wheel. I don't need much. I don't need all these different interfaces or different applications to do this. I just need simplicity. So as you can see, we're just using, it's a quick setup. And this allows me to travel with this just as well. Now, I don't have to use this dynamic microphone with the recorder to still make my podcast. If I wanted to use the Rode Video Micro because I'm trying to keep my backpack light and I don't want to carry around this dynamic microphone, I can definitely just use the Rode Video Micro to get quality podcasting sound. There is going to be a difference in quality, but I am saving space inside of my travel kit and I'm still delivering quality. The reason why I'm using the audio recorder from Zoom versus just using the onboard camera input is because you're getting different preamps. Audio recorder is dedicated for recording audio. It's going to do a way better job at recording files, and you can change and adjust how the file compresses and doesn't compress. You have the option between WAV files and MP3 files. You don't really have that option with using an onboard camera settings, right? So you can really dial in your podcast stream and really punch in that quality. Also, too, it makes it easier where if you just only want to use the H4n Zoom, it does have 2 microphones built into the camera to the audio recorder on top. That way you can record audio without even having to bring a microphone if you forget a microphone. Now, it does run on battery. That battery lasts about 7 hours from what I can tell. I use rechargeable AA batteries in there just to ensure that I'm not, spending a lot of money on batteries. I like it quick, easy. If I do need regular batteries, I can stop at a convenience store and pick some up. You do also have a plug-in source where you can plug in power into the H4 Zoom. But like I said, I just run off of batteries. Quick, simple. I want my travel kit to be as simplistic as possible. So, travel kit for podcasting, I bring 3 things. The H4n Pro Zoom, the dynamic microphone from Shure, and the XLR cable. That's what I bring. Now, when I get back home, I take that SD card out of the H4 and I pop that into my computer and I will edit that podcast that way. Or if I'm on the go, which the reason for this small kit is because I am on the go, is to take the SD card out of the Zoom recorder, plug that into my iPad, and I can use applications like Audacity, Auphonic, even using just the iPhone app to cut that file up and upload it that way too, just as well. Sometimes I will connect my Zoom straight to Anchor. Anchor is a free podcasting hosting site, and I can record audio straight from the Zoom directly to Anchor, and it makes the process a little bit simpler, where I'm getting clean audio source from the Zoom going straight to my podcast host, and then from there it gets delivered to the sites that are playing my podcast. And it helps me cut around the middleman a little bit and make sure that, I'm getting that content up there quickly. The whole purpose of me building a travel kit was to get content out as fast as possible. And that's why I say you don't need fancy equipment. You just need equipment that works. And if you don't have the budget for, the H4, which is about $200, then go with the Tascams. There's a Tascam that's about $100, and you have the Zoom H1 that's about $120. They work the same way. Now, they don't have XLR cable inputs, so you're not going to get the best quality, but you can still make your quality very good out of those. And they save you some money right there. So when you look at other people who are making podcasts and, they're rocking these crazy expensive headphones, these crazy expensive dynamic microphones, they're using an H6, which is going to be a lot more expensive than the H4n, or they're using an interface and they have all this other stuff going on. They've invested the time. You're just getting started and you want quality. Don't waste your time on those expensive products. Get something simple, something you can take with you, because the people who have been doing podcasts for a while, who have developed a following, who may or may not have monetized their channel, they're creating a living for themselves. You just want to make sure that you always have a way to voice and record your inspiration. Inspiration can come any second. Maybe you're sitting down and you just want to start a podcast today, right now. And having something so small to carry around with you in your backpack allows you to stop for a second, record your podcast, upload your podcast, and keep going. You're not thinking about anything else. It's on top of your mind. You're not coming home to a studio and then forgetting what you had written down. You're just going for it right on the spot. As well as, like I said, if you use the H4n, you have 2 XLR ports. So that means you can bring 2 microphones. You can get up to a total of 4 inputs between the 2 XLRs and then hooking in 2 different 3.5 microphones with a Y connector splitter, where you can split the channels from left to right. So you get 4 channels. So you can have a 4-person podcast on the go, just in your pocket. And you can even use lav mics if you really need to. So it's crazy how easy it can be to do a podcast, but we make it so hard. Think about that for a second. Don't you want things to be easier? That's why you're in this business, right? To help make somebody else's life easy and to make your life easier too. Maybe. But thank you for joining me today. This is the Tony Narrative Show, and I'm Tony, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.